It was still dark in Memphis, Tennessee, the streets almost silent except for the steady rhythm of a runner's footsteps. At 4 a.m., most of the city was asleep, but Eliza Fletcher was already on her daily route, preparing for another long run. She had done this countless times before. Same road, same distance, same hour. But this morning, September 2nd, 2022, something was different. Surveillance cameras captured her passing by, dressed in her usual athletic gear, unaware of what was about to unfold. A dark vehicle slowed nearby, lingering in the shadows. Moments later, the jogger who had started her day with discipline and determination was gone. Her phone and water bottle were left behind. A pair of sandals, not hers, lay scattered on the ground. By sunrise, the search for Eliza Fletcher had begun, and Memphis would soon find itself gripped by one of the most haunting cases in recent memory. If you're a fan of true crime and criminal investigations, you won't want to miss our new book, The Ultimate Book of Serial Killers: 180 Files of the World's Most Notorious Murderers, now available on Amazon. You can also purchase the PDF version directly from our website for instant download. You'll find the link in the video description and in a pinned comment. Now, let's dive into today's case. Eliza Fletcher was 34 years old, a devoted kindergarten teacher and the mother of two little boys. Her life seemed full of purpose and love. She met her husband Richard at church, and in 2014 they exchanged vows in that very same place of worship where their story had begun. Eliza came from a well-known Memphis family. She was the heiress to Orgill Inc., one of the largest hardware distribution companies in the country. But the business world wasn't where her heart was. Her true calling had always been teaching. She began her career at Promise Academy in Nashville, where she not only taught kindergarten but also coached young students in athletics. Later, she moved to St. Mary's Episcopal School in Memphis, considered one of the best private schools for girls in Tennessee. Her warmth and energy shone through in the classroom, and it wasn't unusual for her to fill the room with songs and smiles. Her students adored her, and she adored them just the same. Beyond teaching, running was another great passion in Eliza's life. She trained with dedication and skill, finishing 20th among all women in the St. Jude Marathon, a result that qualified her to compete in the prestigious Boston Marathon. Running was part of her daily routine. Every morning she logged around 8 miles, often along the same route at the same time, with an unmatched discipline that impressed everyone who knew her. On September 2nd, 2022, Eliza began her day long before dawn. At 4 a.m., while the city still slept, she laced up her shoes and set out for her usual run near the University of Memphis campus. For her, this ritual was not just about fitness, it was a way of centering herself. But this morning would not end as the others had. By 6:45 a.m., a passing cyclist noticed something unusual along the path: a water bottle, a cell phone, and a pair of Champion sandals left on the ground. Concerned, he turned back, not realizing the significance of what he had just found. Within the hour, everything became clearer when Eliza's husband Richard reported her missing. She had not returned home from her jog. The items were quickly confirmed to be hers, except for the sandals. No one recognized them. Detectives moved fast, pulling surveillance footage from cameras in the area. The images showed Eliza running her regular route, dressed in a pink top and bluish-purple shorts. Then the scene took a dark turn. A black SUV had been circling the neighborhood for nearly half an hour. Suddenly, it pulled over. As Eliza passed, a man leapt out, rushed at her, and forced her into the vehicle. The SUV sat still for 4 long minutes before speeding away into the darkness. The recording was grainy, the early morning light too dim to catch many details, but investigators noted one clue. The car's front light appeared damaged. A partial license plate was also visible. The sandals left at the scene were collected for DNA testing. From the skies and on the ground, police began a massive search across Memphis. Neighbors woke up to helicopters overhead, officers knocking on doors, and urgent pleas for help. Eliza Fletcher, a beloved teacher, a wife, a daughter, and a mother, was now missing. As news of Eliza Fletcher's disappearance spread across Memphis, her family stepped forward in heartbreak and desperation. On behalf of her husband Richie, her 2 young children, her mother Adele, her father Beasley, her brother Gil, and the rest of the Fletcher family, a public statement was released. They expressed deep gratitude for the overwhelming support from the community, for the prayers and concern that poured in from all directions. Eliza, they said, had touched countless lives, and it was clear from the response how deeply she was loved. They also thanked the Memphis Police Department, the Shelby County Sheriff's Office, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, the FBI, and every agency working tirelessly to bring her home. The family stressed that their greatest wish was for Eliza to be found safe, and they announced a reward for any information that could lead to her return. A hotline was shared with the public, urging anyone who knew anything to come forward. Meanwhile, investigators set up a mobile command center in the area where Eliza had been abducted. Surveillance footage was released, showing her during her morning run, dressed in a pink athletic top and purple shorts. Police also circulated images of the SUV used in her abduction. Members of Eliza's extended family also spoke out. The city attorney, Jennifer Sink, who is Eliza's aunt, shared on social media that Eliza was her niece and pleaded with the community to stay alert and call the authorities with any leads. Local runners expressed their fears as well, urging women in particular to run in pairs or groups, a sobering reminder of the dangers faced during early morning or late-night exercise. The family's offer of a $50,000 reward underscored the urgency. In the days that followed, investigators searched both Eliza and Richard's home, seizing items such as a laptop and the family vehicle, a standard part of a thorough investigation. Despite official statements suggesting this was likely an isolated and random attack, speculation spread online. Social media chatter accused her husband Richard of being involved, some even suggesting financial motives tied to Eliza's inheritance. For a grieving family already living a nightmare, these rumors were both painful and cruel. But within a matter of days, those doubts began to crumble. Investigators had found a dark SUV parked in a lot. Its headlight damage matched what had been seen on the surveillance footage. Forensic testing of the sandals left behind at the crime scene provided an even stronger lead. DNA results came back quickly, giving authorities a name they already knew well, one that had been in their system for nearly 30 years. The suspect was identified as 38-year-old Cleotha Abston, who also sometimes went by the surname Henderson. His criminal record stretched back to when he was only 11 years old. Most striking was his history of kidnapping. He had only been out of prison for a short time after serving 20 years behind bars. Between 1995 and 2000, he had been arrested at least 16 times for charges including theft, aggravated assault, unlawful possession of a weapon, and even the rape of an unidentified male victim when he was just 14. The kidnapping that had sent him to prison involved attorney Kemper Duran. In May of 2000, Duran was forced into the back of a car at gunpoint by a teenage Abston and his accomplice, Marquette. It was only by sheer luck and the attention of a passerby that Duran managed to escape. He later said he believed he would have been killed that night if he hadn't gotten away. While serving time in prison, records showed that Cleotha Abston had continued a disturbing pattern of behavior. Over the years, he was accused of 19 separate incidents of indecent exposure while incarcerated, a record that painted a troubling picture of his character. After his arrest in connection with Eliza Fletcher's disappearance, Abston was charged with especially aggravated kidnapping and tampering with evidence. But despite being in custody, he refused to cooperate with investigators. The search for Eliza pressed on, each day weighing heavily on her devastated family and on a community that clung to hope she might still be found alive. Authorities confirmed that Abston's bond had been set at $500,000. By this point, it was only the third day since Eliza had vanished, and the search had already expanded into a multi-agency operation. Alongside Memphis Police and the Shelby County Sheriff's Office, the FBI joined the investigation. Agents began piecing together evidence, cross-referencing Abston's phone data with locations connected to Eliza. On September 5th, 4 days after she was last seen, investigators made a heartbreaking discovery. At 5:07 p.m., Memphis police and their law enforcement partners located human remains behind a vacant duplex about 7 miles from where Eliza had been abducted. Forensic examination confirmed the worst fears. The body was Eliza Fletcher. She had been found in a wooded area behind the abandoned property. The condition of her remains revealed the brutality of the crime. She had suffered a gunshot wound to the head, fractures to her jaw, and injuries to her legs. Her running shorts were later recovered in a discarded bag nearby. The toxicology report also showed fentanyl in her system, though investigators could not determine how long it had been present or whether it had played any role. Friends and family insisted Eliza never used drugs, and police believe she had been assaulted during the time Abston's vehicle was parked at the crime scene. Digital evidence placed Abston's phone at the exact location where Eliza had been taken, and later in the area where her body was recovered. Witnesses also recalled seeing him in suspicious circumstances. Neighbors described how he had cleaned the interior of his SUV with strong floor cleaner, and his brother Mario noticed him washing clothes in a sink only hours after the abduction. With mounting evidence, the charges escalated. In addition to kidnapping and tampering, Abston was now indicted for first-degree murder. Further charges included identity theft, theft of property under $1,000, and fraudulent use of a credit card. His brother Mario, though not implicated in Eliza's death, was arrested separately on serious drug and weapons offenses, possession with intent to distribute fentanyl and heroin, along with possession of a firearm during the commission of a dangerous felony. The case sent shockwaves through Memphis. What had started as one woman's morning run became a tragedy that shook the city's sense of safety to its core. Families were fearful, runners were unsettled, and the outcry reached far beyond Tennessee. Just 1 week later, grief turned into tribute. Hundreds of people gathered in Memphis for an event called Let's Finish Eliza's Run. Participants followed the very route she had set out to run that September morning, honoring her memory, her spirit, and her light. For many, it was a way of reclaiming both the streets and the community's strength, even in the face of profound loss. On the morning of Let's Finish Eliza's Run, hundreds gathered before sunrise at Central Avenue in South Goodlet. At 4 a.m., the same time Eliza would have begun her run, the crowd set off together. The route was 8.2 miles, the distance she had planned to cover that day. Runners, walkers, and families came to honor her life, showing solidarity and strength in the face of tragedy. Even as the community united, the legal process against Cleotha Abston pressed forward. Despite overwhelming evidence, Abston entered a plea of not guilty. His trial was initially scheduled for February 2025, and prosecutors quickly made it clear they would be seeking the death penalty. But the case only deepened. Abston was charged in another separate crime, the aggravated rape and kidnapping of a young woman named Alicia Franklin. In 2021, Abston had held Alicia at gunpoint and assaulted her. She had bravely reported the crime, but due to severe delays in processing her sexual assault kit, the DNA match to Abston was not entered into the national database until September 5, 2022, 3 days after Eliza was abducted. By then, it was far too late. Alicia filed a lawsuit against the city of Memphis and its police department, arguing that if her case had been properly handled, Abston would have been behind bars and Eliza Fletcher would still be alive. Her lawyer condemned the system's failure, saying, "They knew who it was. They did nothing, and as a result, Eliza winds up murdered." In 2023, a Memphis jury delivered its verdict in Alicia's case. Abston was found guilty of aggravated rape, aggravated kidnapping, and unlawful possession of a firearm. The judge sentenced him to 80 years in prison for those crimes. As this conviction was handed down, Abston's defense team made a decision in Eliza's case. At the end of 2024, they advised him there was no chance of success in trial. The evidence was overwhelming. In a surprising turn, Abston changed his plea to guilty on all charges connected to the kidnapping and murder of Eliza Fletcher. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. He showed no emotion in court, sitting expressionless as he had at every hearing. Eliza's family issued a powerful written statement. "We have no idea what happened to you to turn you into someone so filled with a desire to hurt people. Whatever it was, it does not excuse or explain what you have done. You have changed our lives forever, and nothing will ever be the same. You murdered Eliza, even though she did nothing to deserve it. She did not hurt you. In fact, she would have been the first to help you if you needed it." The district attorney confirmed that Abston had given up his right to appeal. There would be no lengthy legal battles, no decades of delays. He would never be released from prison. He would die behind bars. In the aftermath of Eliza's murder, Tennessee lawmakers took action. A new law required the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation to release quarterly reports on sexual assault kit testing times to prevent delays like the one that kept Abston free. The murder of Eliza Fletcher became a chilling reminder of what happens when cracks in the system allow dangerous offenders to slip through. With his long record of violent crimes, many believed Abston had no intention of stopping. Eliza's family remembered her for the light she brought to everyone around her. They said her smile radiated happiness, comfort, and energy. She was a devoted wife, a loving mother, a cherished daughter, a sister, a teacher, and a friend. Her school families, her colleagues, her church, and her community all spoke of her kindness, her compassion, and her unwavering faith. She meant so many things to so many people, and without her, the world feels just a little less bright. Thanks for tuning in to Unreal True Crime. If you're intrigued by mysteries from around the world, check out our new channel, Latin Crimes, where we dive into the gripping true crime stories of Latin America. Don't miss out. Subscribe now for more thrilling investigations.